Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Triad Travelogues. I am Richard, coming at you today from the outskirts of Shanghai, China, to bring you the 6th episode of the Triad Travelogues podcast. Today, we have a very special guest, Tom Batchelor, who is coming at us from the UK, right? Where exactly are you
Manchester.
at? Manchester. And Tom is a musician who spent nearly a decade living and working in China.
Yep.
And so I guess we're just going to talk about some of your experiences with traveling. You know, why you decided to why you decided to do something like that. Because I've been here for half of that time. Not even. I've been here 4 years. And I can't imagine doing that again, you know? I feel like by year 9, I would be like, my head would be ready to explode. How if you don't mind me, how old are you right now, if you don't mind me asking?
I'm 32.
You're 32. So you were 22 then when you started traveling, or 23?
23, yeah.
You were 23. I was 30. When I hit the road. I'm 36 now, so I've actually been on the road for a little over 5 years. But yeah, why? So tell me about what was going on when you were 23. You were in Manchester at that point?
Yeah, I was going to university studying computer games design at that stage, and I just graduated, and I was looking for a job, but really I was just like playing music and trying to produce with people. And then my friend was already over in China. He'd started a training center in Suzhou near Shanghai.
Oh.
And he said, "Do you want a job?" I was like, "Yeah, I might as well." So I just went over and taught English for his school for a couple of years.
So you came here initially to teach, right?
Yeah.
Did you spend the entirety of your time here teaching? No.
Not really, no.
No.
It's like part-time hours, maybe 5 days, 5 days a week, 5 hours a day, sometimes less. So it was pretty flexible.
That's not bad, but if you were in ESL, that's kind of considered full time here. Like the job that I have, yeah, I work at a training center, and I think I'm on the books. I work 24 hours a week.
Yeah.
Which isn't bad. I mean, but yeah, in the States, that's like really serious part time. You know, that's nothing compared to the hours that some people work, especially in education. So you left your home country just on a whim. You didn't have any exciting motivations or anything. You just did it impulsively.
Kind of like, the main thing was I didn't know anything about China. Like I knew some stuff in the movies, you know, Jackie Chan, but I didn't know that Hong Kong and China were like, I didn't know that much detail about China.
Right.
I knew more about Hong Kong and stuff than Taiwan. So yeah, I just graduated. I wasn't feeling the economical climate in England, and I was like, right, how could it harm if I just got on a plane to meet my best mate in another country and work there for a year and just get some experience? Little did I know that I would get like wrapped up in it all and in the excitement of it all for years to come. But yeah, like I just wanted to get inspiration from music, meet other musicians from other places. That was basically the reason why I did it.
Right. I hear the same thing from a lot of people. People come here and they say, me included, I'm going to go to China for a year. And then like 10 years later, they're like, oh, I'm still in China. I heard a guy describe China as a black hole. He's like, it'll suck you in. And you can never get out. Nobody spends just a year in China, you know? It just eats.
Well, the only way out is usually back through the black hole.
Yeah, exactly. So were you? Because I had asked if you were teaching the whole time, because that's what I'm doing now. I work at a training center, and I've been at the same place for the whole time I've been here. And my background is in education. I was teaching in the States. I was teaching special education, and like 10 years of teaching would absolutely, I mean, it would make me insane. I talked to a guy that was here for 17 years teaching, like full time, teaching at training centers, teaching kids in their homes. And I'm curious if you spent the whole time, even if you were only teaching part time, did you spend the whole time teaching? Like, because you kind of have to, if you have a work visa, you always have to Like you have to have some kind of connection to a company. And if you don't speak Chinese, which I assume you didn't for the, at least the early stages, right? So
Right.
you had to have been working, right? Like what did you do professionally during that time?
Well, I did all sorts. I did so many different kind of jobs. But there was always, like you said, there's always one stable job which has a visa connected to it. Um, but yeah, I had a very interesting employment history in China, and sometimes I would be employed by a company so that I could do my stuff freelance. So it was more like, a partnership, but I wouldn't really work for that company and stuff like that. So, that was like years ago now, but there was always there used to be ways around not doing a full-time job but still working on something else. But these days it's a lot more strict. You can't
Right.
really do that.
Right. They changed it in the last like few years. I think every year they come out with new visa restrictions, which makes it makes it more difficult to leave a job if you already are employed and you don't have whatever credentials you need. It's like they can hold you hostage at that point.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I feel like sometimes I feel trapped, no doubt. But you were doing other things. You were doing music stuff. You said freelance work, right? So what kind
Yeah.
what kind of freelance work were you doing?
Well, it was really interesting how it all came together because I worked for the first 2 years teaching English, just like getting into the Chinese lifestyle, like the food, the culture and the traditions, like really like just enjoying that time in China. And I didn't really do much music in terms of networking or producing. Well, I did a lot of producing in my bedroom, making ideas for hip hop tracks and just like writing lyrics about China and my life coming to China.
Did you set up a studio in your apartment?
Well, when after the first 2 years, I moved to the SIP, which is like the Singapore Suzhou Industrial Park. It's like it's now the main area in Suzhou. Like when you go there, you'll see these massive buildings which look like pants and they like trousers, and they don't like you calling it the pants building, but this is like the central piece of Suzhou, and it's a massive shopping center. But I moved to there before it was all developed like it is now, and got into the scene, got into the football team, and through that started meeting musicians at the bars, and from there we got like a community of people together, and 3 of us, me and 2 Italian lads, we invested into like renting this place and setting it up to be a rehearsal space and like recording space.
Oh, that's cool. I do some recording myself. I make music. I make really wild music, but
I've heard it. It's great.
Oh yeah, that's right. You have heard some of my music. But I found, because I do a lot of voiceovers and narrations for my videos, and it really is difficult to do any audio recording in this, at least because I live in Shanghai. And I'm not in the city, but I'm kind of on the outskirts of Shanghai. It's maybe like 45 minutes on the metro from the main part of the city, like Pudong.
Suzhou's closer to Shanghai.
Is it? Well, you were like about the same distance though, right? Like 45 minutes on a train.
20 minutes.
30 minutes. Wow, you are
20.
That's funny. Yeah, you were closer. But I found it very difficult. I mean, I find it now very difficult to do any kind of recording because of how loud it is, It's loud.
All the drilling.
Yeah. And not just the drilling, but children screaming all the time. There's always people yelling. There are cars honking. So it's easier.
Yeah,
I wait until 2 o'clock in the morning, 3 o'clock in the morning, if I need to really record something and I don't have time during the day or it's too loud, I have to wait till like late at night, like it's 8 PM right now and it's pretty quiet. So this is a good time. But if we had done this at noon today, my time, because it's 1 o'clock your time, it's 8 o'clock my time. If we had done this at noon, it would have been just the drilling. And I mean, you know how it is, just so much noise all the time.
9 years. I've come back to England now and it's like 1 PM and it's just so peaceful outside. Everyone's at work. It's just peaceful.
I know when I spoke with you the other day, you showed me the landscape, and it's almost like a foreign world to me now.
Do you want to see it?
Yeah. Show me. Yeah, show me.
Because this is going to be hopefully if the light's okay. Can you see that?
Oh, hey, you're at the same place that you were at the last time I spoke with you, right?
Yeah, it's my mum's house.
Yeah, man, it's a different world. It's a totally different
Completely.
world. I actually I did a video a few weeks back about reverse culture shock, which is like
Oh yeah.
the experience that people go through when they return back to their home country after spending a long time abroad. And it's I think we may have spoken about this a little bit the last time I talked to you. I don't remember if we did, but I think the most difficult thing about it is dealing with how much you've changed in relation to how much other people have changed. That you know what I mean?
And the people don't think that you've changed.
Do they not? They
That's part of it.
explain. What do you mean? What do you mean by that?
Well, it's just like it's all positive vibes from me back home. Like I don't have any negative things to say, but it's like it's what you said. Plus, a lot of people you just accept you back as if you're just the same person that left at 23 and continue the same relationship. But you're stood there like seeing things from a whole new perspective.
Right.
But people don't like people just accept you back, and it's really cool and comfortable that they just accept you back. But there's something missing, like there's a conversation missing sometimes, or certain questions, or I don't know.
Right. No,
It's interesting.
I agree with that to a point. You know, I lived in Nepal for a year. For the better part of a year, I was in Kathmandu. I spent some time in Lumbini,
Right.
and I returned home before I came to China. I was for a few months, and I had this experience that I didn't expect, which was that, like, you know, when you have a group of friends and family or whatever, people that you spend a lot of time with, you're kind of on the same trajectory. You go in the same direction. And when you move for a long time, especially on a spiritual journey or whatever travel is, whatever long-term travel is, and your mindset changes, you know? So you go in this other direction, and they change too. You both change, but it's really difficult when you come back to reconnect on that same level. Like you said, there's things missing. There's kind of conversations missing, and there's pieces missing. I mean, they're still your friends, but it's difficult to explain to somebody the kinds of changes that you go through when you're on the road, you know?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I was just curious if you know, because you're back home after 9 years or 9.5 years, or what was the exact length of time that you were gone? I mean, in
Been
China.
about 9 years. Yeah, it's been about 9 years, and I came back like summer holidays or Christmas sometime. So
Oh.
I've been back like 6 or 7 times since I left.
Oh,
the
okay.
holidays.
It's a little different. I haven't been back except for during the middle between Nepal and China. I spent a few months back. It's horrible. I mean, it was just I had a really difficult time reassimilating to my culture.
Yeah.
So yeah. So Jesus, 9 years, man. I mean, you basically left in your 20s, early 20s,
Yeah.
come back in your early 30s. And now you
Right.
got to deal with reality now. That's a thing about, for real, that's the thing about being on the road is you come back and it's like, I forgot what was real, or, you know, or maybe you question like what is real, because I thought that my life back home was real, but then you go to China and you spend 10 years here and it's like, oh, this is what's real. And it kind of confuses your understanding of reality, like your relationship to the universe. Man, so 9 years here. So tell me about your music, because I've heard some of your music. You make good music, like really good music, like actually professional sounding music, because a lot of people that call themselves musicians and have music online, because it's so easy to put music online, a lot of it's not very good. Your music actually is good. You make good music. Did you form that band? I think I haven't heard all of I think you have a few projects, right? But I heard one of them. I think it was called Hieroglyphics, right?
Yes. Perfect.
So Hieroglyphics you formed with people in China. Like that band did not exist before you came to China?
Correct.
So the people that you met that you were talking about before that you set the studio up with, those are the people in the band, yeah?
No.
No? So
But
tell me about the band.
every single relationship and every single connection within that like studio led to meeting these other people
Sure.
that then in this band. And like I had a couple of other bands leading up to that. Like we had the Busketeers, which is just like a covers band. We did a few originals. Then the second band was Hieroglyphics with a CS, and it was more like rock rap, like more heavy guitars and me rapping.
Right.
And then when it got to Hieroglyphics with the X, we started to think about like, we need to be more funky and more soulful. So we got in this female singer from the States and a Canadian rapper to be full-time. And we just like grooved it up. And when we did that, everything just felt amazing. Like it was about 2014 at that time. And we started like doing ideas and shows, recording. And by the end of 2014, we got in the studio in Shanghai, at a place called 72 Studio in Shanghai. Very professional place. And he helped us to record like the backing tracks and the raps and the vocals as well.
Gotcha. I think I heard an EP. I heard an EP, but there were other albums that you recorded prior to that?
No, we did the EP, and then last year we did another EP, which was going to be used for sending to record labels and stuff like this. But it was never produced to the same quality, and there was a lot of issues between members and scheduling. It just became something else. But we got 3 new songs from that collaboration over the year.
Gotcha. So what's going on with all of those guys then? Like, you know, all the people you were collaborating with, because the band is not defunct, right? You guys are still, I mean, considered.
Well, nah, it's defunct now basically, because this is the complications about like living abroad as an expat and working with other expats. Not everybody stays. Yeah, so there's like a lot of people come and go so instantaneously, and it's like, it's hard to keep things going. So you have to change the members or pay people to come and play and stuff like that. But I kept it going for like 2 years after we broke up. But now it's obviously I'm over in England as well now, so I'd have to get new members if I wanted to continue the same songs.
Right. Yeah.
I feel like starting a new project.
That is something about travel that's, I don't know. I kind of like it. I kind of like that aspect of travel because I'm not a very social person. I like the idea that you meet people and you have this connection and you maintain this relationship and you know at some point it's going to be done. You know what I mean? There's some kind of comfort in that to me. Like, you know, you meet people on the road and it's just a kind of we're just passing through type thing. It's a different kind of relationship than the like long-term relationships that you have with friends. Like when you're growing up, you know, the friends are forever thing. I don't know. I feel now because I've been sitting here. I mean, I've been in Shanghai for so long because I wanted to keep moving. I got married, I had a baby, and you know, I had to stall for a little while. But I like the sort of romanticism of the road, like just moving. You know, you keep moving, keep going. Because you came here and you stayed in one place basically, right? Like you didn't move around China at all.
I didn't move around to live, no, but I traveled a lot around Southeast Asia and toured with the band as well. So I was able to see a lot of different places. But yeah, I ended up sticking in Suzhou. I never wanted to move to Shanghai. And Suzhou, it was pretty good, you know. I can't complain about Suzhou very much for those years. It was a comfortable place to live and a good hub to go everywhere else.
Yeah. I've never been. I don't think that I've been. I'm pretty sure I haven't been. For having lived in China for, 4 years, 5 years, I have not really been that many places, which is, it's ridiculous because it's the reason I left was to travel, you know. I had no motive, no goal. I just wanted to travel. You know, I think there was a part of me that thought I could escape my responsibilities, and now I'm married with a kid. So, you know what I mean? You don't really. I feel like at some point I was very idealistic about. There was this romanticism with travel, you know.
Definitely, yeah.
So you traveled around Southeast Asia just to tour with your band.
Either that or just traveling solo or with friends. Just like pretty much covered the whole of Southeast Asia, and those times really like allowed me to just like enjoy Asia. Because when I was in China, it was always like work, or like trying to build the band and build the business of the band.
Yeah.
And like I for a lot of years I worked doing commercial gigs, which was quite an experience.
What do you mean by that? What kind of commercials?
There's a few names that they call them. It's like commercial gigs or corporate gigs, but in England we call them like function gigs, where you go to a wedding or a hotel or a restaurant.
Yeah.
You know, these kind of commercial gigs and you play covers and you get paid a bit more than the bar gigs, for example. We did that for a while.
Like wedding band kind of thing, like wedding bands.
Yes, I was in a wedding band for many years.
That's cool though. I mean, that's fun, right? Because it's not as much pressure artistically than otherwise.
When you're in a Chinese wedding that costs like 3 million RMB,
oh yeah, that's
and
true.
you're in the middle with a bass guitar, like, right, we can't keep up right now. We have to play really well. These people are really rich, and if we get their contact, we can get many more gigs.
That is true. I didn't think about it like that. I was just thinking about like the artistic pressure that you go through, and like you were describing trying to record another album, and it's difficult dealing with other people's personalities, and also because artists tend to be kind of flaky, and they also tend to be opinionated and aggressive. I mean, from my experience, you know, I used to live with artists, around artists, and they can be difficult to deal with. So to come together collectively and create something is stressful. It's spiritually stressful, you know. But
it's also spiritually like.
Well, yeah, sure. But I'm just saying, like, it seems like if somebody was like, "Hey, come play like Radiohead cover songs," it would be so much easier, right?
Yeah.
Like I feel like that. I'm not I can play the studio, but I don't play any instruments really. I know how to record and I can sing, but I've never been in a proper band. You know, I've just always done like solo stuff.
This is what I've always been so blessed with. Like, I was in a band here before I left, and we were trying to get signed in Manchester. And it was the same thing. It was just like people arguing, younger kids. We were younger at that time, like 20.
Yeah.
And we would just like, couldn't seem to get it together. And then everyone went to work and do their own things. And then I was like, right, I'm going to go to China and do this. And I've already got this experience being in the band. And then it ended up, after 4 years, I was in a Beatles cover band as the drummer. I was Ringo Starr.
Really?
And like, I went to China. I wasn't a drummer. I was just a rhythm guitarist. And I ended up being able to be a drummer in a Beatles band, which was very fun, but very stressful at the same time. Because we were doing like the bar gigs and the commercial gigs. And like, we're all artists. And even though it was cover songs, tribute songs, we were all very like particular about things and specific. We wanted to be perfect, like tight. And we wanted to sound and look like the Beatles. We all wore the suits. And like, you know, it looked like the Beatles. It was hilarious.
Did you have a wig?
So,
did you wear wigs?
We thought about it. We were tempted to, but in the end we didn't. But it was great, man, because I went to China as a rhythm guitarist and a songwriter, and I've always wanted to be a songwriter. But China gave me this like platform to just do it without any like worries. It was just handed to me.
Right.
You know what I mean?
I think,
and a lot of the people that I met there, a lot of guitarists that I met had only just started playing when they moved to Suzhou or they saw the Suzhou scene. So a lot of the people that I ended up working with, they were like upcoming artists, and they just realized they wanted to write something, play guitar. And so it was kind of like working with these budding artists that had just found out they were good at writing or singing or something. So it was really interesting because I was just like their best mates, and we would just help each other to write songs. And it was a beautiful experience. It really was.
Yeah, and I would assume that you would be received in a much different way in this country than you would be in your own home country when you're not an anomaly. Like, you're just another dude. Yeah. But in China, you're like just different. You know? Yeah.
So because there, like, the one thing I wish I saw more of in China was more movement and more dancing and more letting go of your ambitions. But at the same time, there was like people were there just like staring at this, like, what is this going on? Like, we've seen Linkin Park, but this is something else, like like an offspring of Linkin Park in 2015 in China at the MIDI festival, just like going crazy to like Chinese audience members, and they're just there with the phones, like,
dude, I almost went to that. That was 2014 or 2015, the MIDI festival. I almost went to that. That was like right when I first came to China, I think. It was around that time. I don't know if it was the first holiday. It was during a holiday, wasn't it? It was during like National Day maybe, or the spring holiday. I don't remember, but
no, it was in May or June. May.
Oh, it was before.
There's two.
It was before I met my wife, I think. I'm pretty sure it was.
Yeah.
I don't know. My memories are fuzzy, but I ended up not going. I don't even remember why. I have not seen a single show since I left the United States of America. The very last show I saw was Dream Theater in like,
Oh, yeah.
I think it was like 2012. I have not seen a show in that long.
Oh,
Yeah.
you gotta have to see it.
There's just I have not, everybody tells me, dude, there's lots of good metal bands that come to China. Everyone tells me that, but I have never been, just because I got a family so fast. So like my life it changed very dramatically in a very short period of time, you know? Like my first month here, I was at clubs, you know, I was partying. But my whole first month here, my third month here, I met my wife, and then 5 months later I was married. 9 months later, I have a baby. Huh?
So, it can go fast. I've got other friends that the same thing happened.
Yeah. And so it's like a lot of things changed. You know, I didn't change, but your priorities are forced to change, you know? So a lot of the things I would like to have done, like seeing more music, or even be involved with like an artistic collective or something, you know, there's places that people go and paint, and you know, I just, it's not bad, it's just different. You know what I mean? But I'm curious about, because you had experience in your home country with working in a band and dealing with like having people watch your music, and I'm curious what the most profound differences are in dealing with just that whole scene, like being a musician and playing music where you're from and then doing that in China. Like what kind of some of the differences that you encountered that you think are just, I don't know, interesting or profound?
Probably the fact that in China, like there's a lot more stages. You can just go and be invited, play more often. Like there's more of a platform to get heard. And if you're actually good, then you can sustain the shows or whatever. Whereas in England, it's a real, like, you know, you've got to get in there and do the hard work for months and months and build the sound. But then the audience is much more sort of able to dance and stuff over here.
Here?
No, over here.
Here.
Because people know the songs, or they feel the style, and plus the language. Like I was rapping at 120 miles an hour in English to Chinese people that are not going to understand what I'm saying in English. So I had to start writing in Chinese again.
Well, why is it that it's easier to get gigs in China? Is it because of the way you look, or is it just generally easier to get because there's less bands playing, or there's more demand?
Well, it's both all of what you said then, plus because there's so much money and so many people with bars and clubs and venues, there's just so much space and opportunity to play anywhere. Plus you have how many hotels in China that have how many weddings every day.
Right.
So it's like business, and there's so many people in this industry in China. It's crazy, models and stuff like that as well.
Right. Yeah. I feel like, so it's easier to get work like as a cover band or a wedding band than it would be to.
There's so many people looking for musicians to entertain, just beyond the photographs. Even it's like It's not just about the sound. A lot of the time, we went through a lot of ups and downs, but the most annoying thing was like, you do have to manage things very carefully, because if you don't, you can turn up, there's no sound system, and they don't really care if you play to a backing track and mime your guitar and mime singing. At half the time, they just want videos and pictures, even if it looks like you're faking it on the video, but they don't really see it. But there's like a missing link at times between the quality and them just wanting a quick, like, advertisement, basically. Yeah.
Right, and I think it's the same with ESL. I mean, it's the same with any of the White Monkey jobs where you just go, and they're more interested in the superficiality of it. They're more interested in the pictures and kind of how it looks, as opposed to whatever the quality is of it. That's why it's such a different experience being like white in China than it is being white in America, because nobody in America cares at all that you're white. You know, you don't walk around like, hey, I'm white. Nobody cares. But in China, especially where I am, it's like I'm a novelty everywhere I go. I get stared at everywhere, and there's nothing special at all about me. I'm just.
And 10 years ago, it was mental compared to what it is now.
I've had other people tell me that as well, that things have changed a lot in a decade.
Yeah.
Man.
A lot. Like, people are more accepting of foreigners, but also a lot more people really dislike foreigners a lot more because they've seen news or fake news or whatever.
Well, I mean, plus they're sort of inundated with it now because there's such a demand. I mean, you know, in the industry that I'm in, I hesitate to call it an industry, but you know, in ESL, there's a very high demand, but at the same time, there's disdain. So people hold these kind of contradictory ideas about the foreigner, you know, the white foreigner. Like they like us, but also they hate us at the same time. And it's a really strange like dichotomy. It's a really strange contrast that you deal with on a daily basis. You know, but I see that how that could carry over into other industries, into music or art or whatever. Mm. To what are you? Because you're not in China, so you can say whatever you want. I mean, I guess I could say whatever I wanted to, but you know what I mean, like. Because I have a YouTube channel, and I would never come onto my YouTube channel and say anything really just. I mean, I express my opinion, but what do you think about China? Like, you know, because you spent so much time here, so you've got a much more, and I think I get the impression that you're a much more positive person than I am. I get that impression, less cynical, maybe less jaded. I'm curious what, you know, now that you're back and this sort of, that part of your life is maybe not necessarily over, but is at least in kind of a hiatus right now. I'm curious what, like how you look at China, you know, from where you are.
So I guess I can put it this way. I went to China as an immature young man with hardly any experience, but a lot of like hopes and dreams. Went to China, lived in this just bustling, crazy, non-stop sound, light atmosphere, like all living together in close spaces, learning about people, meeting people from all around the world, and just like learning how to be patient and learning how to be mature and learning how to do business. And then being back here and looking back on it and just thinking like, I learned everything in these last 9 years, even Chinese, of course, that's part of it too, but that was a part of it. If I didn't learn Chinese, I couldn't have progressed to those levels because Chinese is the communication tool of the country. So when I was trying to speak English and negotiate and get my girlfriend to translate, then it would work. But if you're the one speaking your heart to people with Chinese, then I was able to develop quickly and more, professionally. So I came back here after 9 years, no matter the reason why. But I learned a lot from China, and I've only got like mostly positive things to say about China. I know it's a crazy, fast developing world at the moment over there, but there's a lot of positives, and a lot of the people that I met there were great people. Most of the people I met were great people.
Yeah. Yeah, it's an interesting place. I always say there's no place in the world, I think, that comes anywhere close to China. China is a unique place. And some days in China, some days are better than others, you know? Some days are great, and some days you're like, well, this is amazing, and some days it's just like, you just want to kill everybody. I mean, not really kill everyone, but you know what I mean? Like, just, it's just, I guess it depends on the mood. But you're right. If you go out and you are in a good mood and you're smiling and you're open, you're receptive to other people, and in that way, it is, you know, you can learn a lot. You can absorb a lot. And I feel like that's one thing that I have to always remind myself of is that, you know, not everything's bad. Because even if because I'm just I'm very cynical, and even if I were in the States, I still am I've always had that hanging over me. I have a difficult time framing things in a positive way. So like, you seem to be a positive person. I appreciate that, because it's something I struggle with. You know what I mean? Like, I have to really.
Well, I must say as well, like, sorry to cut in.
No, it's okay.
Like, China is, can I swear?
Yeah.
China is fucking hard place to live. It's a fucking nightmare most of the time.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, like at least once a year, you'll have a nightmare if you want to change jobs and, you know, do this and that. Like paperwork, and especially now, like 9 years ago, I remember when I first went there and I didn't have a TEFL, I just had a degree. And they said, oh, don't worry about it, give us your degree. Then 2 days later, they come back with a TEFL certificate, which said Thomas Andres Batchelor. And obviously my middle name is not Andres, I'm not from Spain, I'm Andrew. And it was a fake TEFL certificate, which they used to get me a job. And since those times, it was easy to get a visa. But up until about 5 years ago, that whole process became a nightmare. And you had to fake experience and write this and do that.
Right. Yeah.
Buy a visa.
Yeah, I have a background in education. I actually taught in the States, and I still have to do that stuff. I mean, I don't anymore. They actually take care of the visa stuff for me, so it hasn't been as bad. But I do have that stress like, what is it now? Every July or around that time, June, July. I always have that stress, like especially now because I have a baby here. What if I can't get my visa renewed, or it's definitely stresses me out.
It's not very good because people's lives just get chopped down and changed instantly.
Right.
Like about a year ago, I had some issues with a few companies. I was working for one bar. They decided to not re-sign the contract. So then I was out of a job and straight into another job in another bar that actually begged me to work there. And I was like a little skeptical because I know this bar. I play football for this bar. And anyway, long story short was I worked for this bar for 2 months. During the 2 months, they were doing renovations. So they said, oh, we could find you English teaching jobs because you're not going to work whilst we renovate. I said, I've just started the job. How can you tell me I'm going to teach English during the summer because you don't want to, because you're doing renovations? Went home to England to have a summer holiday. And during the summer holiday, they emailed me saying, yeah, you've not got a job when you come back, which led me into the last 8 months of madness with like tourist visas and jumping around to get back just to find stability. Like, it's been a nightmare.
Yeah. I dealt with this stuff, like, you know, going to Hong Kong every 3 months or whatever when I first came here. I have a friend who lives, the name of the place he lives escapes me, but he lived in Shanghai for a little while, and now he's basically trying to get he's from Australia, and he's trying to get his girlfriend to come to Australia with him, and he's dealing with immigration, kind of similar to my situation, waiting, you know. And he figured that while he's waiting, he would just go to this university and learn Chinese. And he's living at this university, and he lives in like the sticks, you know. He's like not city. It's very like, I don't know, is boondocks the right word? It's kind of the not the greatest, you know, not the greatest place, like a village. And he said that
in the
ghetto, yeah. And he said that this year, most of the students are from Pakistan, and a lot of them came from Pakistan on scholarships. And he said that what happened this year is they went on their summer holiday, and the school decided that they were no longer going to fulfill those scholarships. Honor. Yeah, they weren't going to honor the scholarships. But they did not tell these dudes until they got back from Pakistan. So they waited until like these dudes, you know, well, I say dudes, I guess they're girls too. I actually don't know. Culturally, I'm not sure. He always calls them the dude. So maybe there's some women, I don't know. But he bunks with this other dude. And he said they came back from Pakistan. They got an airplane. They came back, and the school greeted them when they got back and said, "Oh, sorry, we're not going to honor your scholarship. You have to pay for your tuition." And it's like, that's crazy. You know, it's just like, they didn't even bother to tell them. So yeah, I definitely understand that. I think I've been pretty lucky. I haven't dealt with too much stuff like that. I deal with the general disarray and kind of the chaos of the working environment. It's very disorganized, but I think I've been lucky because I've heard really awful stories about things that have happened to other people that I know. So, you know, I got lucky, but I am itching to leave. I do want to go. It's not just because I have any issue with China. That's not the primary reason. Primarily, I just want to travel more, you know, but there's always just money and responsibilities. So you're back. You're back.
I'm back.
You're back in the UK. How do you feel about that? Like, how does it feel to be back? Like, because you might not see China again, or you might not see China for a long while. How does that make you feel?
I'm pretty positive about it right now. Obviously, it was unexpected, so it was kind of not planned to be back here. But it's always good to be home, and like there's good people around.
When did you come back? What was the day that you arrived back from China into the UK?
That was the 8th or 9th of August.
Okay, so it was what? That was like a month ago, right? So what?
Just over 3 weeks.
So you said it was abrupt. It happened quickly, and you didn't expect it or plan for it. Do you have all your stuff? Did you get all your stuff back?
Not yet.
You don't have your stuff. Where's all your stuff at?
Well, I was between moving houses, so all my stuff is basically at my friend's house in boxes already. So I still need to get those sent back. And my dog, I've got a dog over there that I'm processing to travel at the minute.
I remember you talking about your dog. I remember because you and I had a podcast scheduled in July.
Yeah.
I think it was it was early July, and we scheduled it, and you're like, okay, I'll see you next week, and then just you disappear. I mean, like, I actually, for the first week, I thought, well, he probably just doesn't want to do the podcast, and I thought maybe you were just avoiding me, but I realized that there's these groups that we're in, the WeChat group, so you haven't posted anything, and so I started thinking about it. I asked some people in the group about it, and everyone told me they hadn't heard from you. So I go and I check I found you on social media, like I found your Twitter account, I think, and you have an Instagram. It was the 18th. Yeah. That's the day it was. It was the 18th. It was July 18th. Yeah. It was the last day you posted to any of these. And so I thought, that dude's dead. Like, it's because it seemed like, because you had posted every day to WeChat, every day. Yeah. And then all of a sudden you just were like dropped off the face of the planet. And I don't know, man. I didn't know. I have worst case scenario syndrome, I always think the worst things. So, oh, well, he must be dead. So what happened? Tell me what happened.
So I didn't plan to fall off the face of the earth, but like we were talking about before, that China's getting very strict. Oh my God, strict. So basically, about 2 months ago now, or maybe 3, I think it's about 2, they started cracking down on the drugs situation in Suzhou. So eventually one of the main guys got arrested, and from there everyone started getting urine tested to see if they had any drugs in their system. And basically a lot of people got arrested and detained for a few weeks before getting deported. I heard up to about 40 people in Suzhou got deported, but I only know of 15 to 20 that I can confirm of that.
That you knew all those people? You knew 15 or 20 people that got deported?
Yeah, and they all went through the process before I did. So, but it was crazy because I wasn't part of that initial round of arrest, like people getting arrested and put into these detention centers, because I wasn't on this list. They had a big list, which I assume they got from WeChat, like transactions and conversations with buying the drugs and stuff. And then somebody gave my name after all this. So, I don't know, someone gave my name and said that I smoked a little bit of weed here and there. And so the police turned up and demanded a P test. And I basically just had to do it. And yeah.
They took you to like a hospital, like a testing laboratory, or they just had you do it there? Like, here, pee in this.
There and then in my bathroom. And the most crazy thing is, I had moved out my apartment. I was moving into a new apartment, and I was staying at my friend's house because I was trying to get away from anyone being able to just knock on my door. I already knew a lot of people had been taken in. A lot of people had fled the country. And I knew that my name might be on the list because I'd smoked cannabis for, a good few years in China, like before and then. So I was like in with the crowd that did it. So, you're likely to be on a list if you're around those people and stuff like that. But when I wasn't like knocked on for the first few weeks, then I moved out And then I went back a few weeks later to just fix up a few things for the landlord, like fix a light and chair. And the police turned up then. So basically, I caught myself.
When you say a list, so basically what the police were doing was they had arrested some dude that was selling weed, right? Like they arrested a no? Or yes, okay.
I mean, I shouldn't speak about deals, but yeah.
And they took these guys' phones and they went through their WeChat and they basically just looked at the conversations. And
we imagine, we don't know.
I mean, that makes sense though. I mean, it's China, so it's not like the police have to follow like any kind of, search warrant procedure or whatever. So they went through these lists and they just went knocking on everyone's doors. Are these just expats?
Yeah, just expats. And they started going to people's schools. Now, this was also mad as well. So I was working for a kindergarten a few months ago, but they hadn't yet got me the work visa. And we were still talking about contracts. And they said, we don't want to pay you summer pay, so we can give you a visa and a contract from September. So anyway, I worked at this kindergarten for 3 months and never signed a contract. So I was actually working there illegally on a tourist visa. And basically, two of my other friends that work there smoke quite a bit. And I smoke with them sometimes. One of the days, the police turned up to the school and arrested my friend. And my other friend had already been arrested the day before, so we didn't know where she was. And apparently I was in the school and the police came through. So I obviously wasn't on a list. Plus, they wouldn't have known I was in the school working because it was not on paper or whatever.
They arrested them. They arrested them for visa violations or for marijuana?
For marijuana. Well, for what do you call it? Like suspected drug use. Mm-mm. So then they pee test them, and if there was 3 things that they took your pee and like dropped it onto 3 things. I think one was heroin, maybe cocaine, and marijuana. But I'm not too sure. I just know one was marijuana because the test would show a line if it was positive.
Right.
But yeah, when I went to the school the next day, and my friend told me, "Oh, did you hear? So and so and so and so got arrested, and yesterday the second person I just mentioned was arrested from school." And I was like, what? And no one's told me, like my manager, the boss, they haven't even said, oh, by the way, police have came to the school and I'm working here completely illegally.
Yeah.
So that night I went to collect my salary, which I would get every 2 weeks, cash in hand, because I didn't want all these transactions going on Alipay and WeChat.
Right.
And basically I was trying to get the money and just say, I'm not coming back next week. And I went to get the cash and they were always like every 2 weeks, oh, we haven't got it prepared to give to you. Can't you just accept that? And I was like adamant, no, I need to pay my rent tomorrow. Lie. I need the cash tonight. As soon as they give me the cash 10 minutes later, I was like, look, guys, I'm not coming in on Monday. Why didn't you tell me about what's happened? Like, she came into the classroom in the morning and she was looking in my eyes like as if to look at me to see if I knew anything about this situation. And because she saw I had no questions or anything in my eyes, she was like, I won't tell him. So I was really annoyed.
Yeah, but that's how they deal with things, though.
Yeah, because I had already heard a week ago that this guy had been arrested because he was my friend, and we all started knowing like what's going on. So as soon as I heard, I was like, I'm not going back to the school because they're just not protecting me. For one, they don't want to pay me summer pay, so they're not giving me a contract. I'm waiting until September to have to get this contract. So they're letting me work illegally, and then they're not even protecting me when the police are coming in, arresting my friends. I was like, what is going on?
I don't even understand why they care so much. What's the motivation behind, like, I mean, obviously they're trying to get rid of expats, right? Because what do they care about, like, if you're smoking weed or not? Because it doesn't really affect them. I mean, right?
I mean, the way that they turned up and, like, as soon as they found out that I did have THC in my system, they're, like, freaking out, like, oh, God, is he a psychopath? Or, like, what's it done to him? They think that it's a really harmful drug, like, because they've seen, like, somebody drunk and then smoke weed and they go crazy. But, like, that's just people not taking care. I think Chinese people have a very, like, because any time I talk to Chinese people and say about weed or cannabis, they're like, oh, no, like, you can't smoke that. It, like, makes you crazy. Like, well, maybe I'm crazy. But
that's interesting. You'd think that the police would have at least a more educated understanding of some of those things because they are police officers, so that they do have to deal with those things.
Well, it was interesting. One of his questions after, like, they took me into this place for 24 hours and they interrogated me and all this stuff, and took my fingerprints, took photos, and just had to stay in this one cell with like 3 or 4 police officers smoking and watching you for 24 hours. And there was other people coming in for other crimes, like fighting or whatever. And after that, when we left to go to the detention center, the first detention center, which I had stayed for 13 days, the police officer's in the car and he's very relaxed. I never got handcuffed or anything. Like, it was never criminal. It was just a process. And the police officer was like really nice, talking to me about his trip to Iceland and all this, in Chinese mostly. But then he would just turn around and said, "Why do you smoke drugs?" And I just said, "Well, I didn't smoke for about a month recently, and I smoke on and off, but I think it's better than alcohol. Like, why do you drink alcohol?" Like, it's not a part of the thinking. And maybe it should be. Like, I don't know. I don't disagree with it being against the law, but I'm surprised at how extreme it was, especially for me, when I'm just like, a recreational user, and they think it's like this massive problem. Right. Like, what happened to all the people that I don't know. But
well, I know of personally of a couple of people that had similar situations as yours. And yeah. I know one guy, he went to jail for 5 days, and he is still in Shanghai. So yeah. They didn't really care much about that. I mean, obviously, if they didn't deport him, or it wasn't that big of a deal to them. So I don't know if it's just the area that you're in, or if there's some kind of a power play going on.
There's a power play going on. Because I've heard other situations in Shenzhen and Shanghai as well recently. Like, I tried to talk to my friend that got deported recently, but she hasn't replied on Facebook to 2 messages. But her and apparently a few other of her friends all got deported for smoking weed. But I don't know if they got detained for a length of time. I think they just got told to leave as soon as possible.
You were there for 2 weeks, yeah?
3. 2 weeks. Yeah. 2 weeks in one, and 1 week in a worse one across the road.
Why did they detain you for so long if they were just planning on making you leave?
I don't know. I really don't know. It's just like a punishment, isn't it?
How was it? Did they treat you okay?
I mean, they didn't really treat us at all. They just left us in a cell, and food would get delivered through the cell into a tub where you would usually wash your feet in. The light was left on 24/7. It wasn't the most comfortable, but it could have been worse. And then it got worse in the 3rd week, because that was disgusting.
That's the jail across the street, you said?
Like, after the first 2 weeks, I was going out like, God, what's going to happen? Where am I going to go now? Are they going to interrogate me more because I know the people involved? Like, am I going to get deported? Are they going to let stay in studio? I was like, whichever one it is, it's going to be annoying. And then got outside the cell, walked. I still had these pajamas on that said happy all over it. Happy, 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 happy. Different fonts in different angles and stuff like this. Because I thought they were going to let me change before going outside. Walk out in these fucking happy pajamas. Get outside the door and there's like loads of people there, police with cameras and handcuffs. I'm like, oh God, here we go. Take a photo, take a profile shot or whatever. And they said, oh, sign here, stamp your thumb here, you will be deported. And I just like breathed a sigh of relief all off. I was like expecting worse. Like, what are they going to do to me now? And then they just took me to the police car in the stupid pajamas, went outside, and I was like, are they going to take me to the airport? I hope they could just take me to the airport and let me buy the next flight out of here. And they just turned around at the traffic lights, went back and into another detention center across the road. And I was like, what the hell?
And they kept you there for a week?
Yeah, and they told me to book a ticket through my friends that day or the next day or the Wednesday after. So I went in on the Wednesday and I flew the Wednesday after. And even though this place was worse, the guy that we had supervising us would allow me to call more, and he'll give me an hour to meet my friend, and he'd give me an hour to go on my WeChat and like reply to everybody and like call everybody that I needed to. And when I was packing my suitcases, my friend had to pack for me. I was on like video WeChat with him from inside the police station. Like, oh yeah, I want that. Oh yeah, get that. Don't forget this. My guitar.
Wow. So, but I mean, they didn't abuse you. They didn't like beat you or anything. Like it wasn't like a locked up abroad type thing. You could go on national TV and talk about your harrowing experience.
No, it wasn't like that. It was all right. It was just the food was not very good. It was just like loads of rice and some vegetables, like a vegetable stew, but not really much meat. So it wasn't very healthy. I think I lost a lot of like nutrition. Definitely.
Oh yeah, dude. You in an American prison too. I don't know about the prison system where you're at, but in America, in the American jails and American prisons, I don't know. I have never been, but from what I understand, the food is very, very bad. It doesn't give you any nutrients, and it's basically like dog food. That's how I've heard it described, like dog food. So you probably got it better actually, because at least you got to eat some rice, you know?
True. Yeah, it was funny, when I was in the second place, even though there was an African there, so I could speak English with him, which was beautiful. After 2 weeks speaking Chinese, I was tired of speaking Chinese. I just wanted to like sing in English with somebody.
Right.
And I look back on the first place, wishing I could have been in the first place for one more week rather than being in this new place, because the new place, like the person would come around with worse food, with rice piled on top of each other, with the plates and bowls that hadn't been washed properly. So if your rice was on the bottom of the bowl, I could just imagine it was disgusting. Yeah. So I would like rush to get the top rice so there wasn't anything on the top of the rice.
Man. It is though an experience, right? Yeah. I mean, you seem positive about it. That's good, because I think some people might come away from that very angry, you know?
Well, once you spend 3 weeks in a cell, you will be happy when you're out. You're free. Yeah, you can move. You can sense.
So they made you buy your own plane ticket out?
Yes. And I must give a shout out to my good friend Peter, who basically, if I didn't call him, he wouldn't have been able to pick up my dog and my keys and look after my dog and give my keys to all my friends that then helped me to manage getting all my stuff back here. So, Peter, I love you, brother. Thank you very much.
Peter, if you're watching, yeah, thank you, Peter. So your dog is okay? I'm concerned about your dog. Your dog's all right?
She's with my friend at the moment, but I've got to wait till November before she can fly back here with my girlfriend, hopefully. So
is your girlfriend Chinese?
No, she's Canadian, but she's in China.
Oh, okay, gotcha. So she still is in China. How long have you been with your girlfriend?
About a year.
Oh, okay. Man, yeah, it is abrupt. I think that's the word you used, abrupt or sudden. Just everything just changes really fast, and that's rough. What about going back to China? Is that something that's possible, or?
Well, in 5 years, yeah.
If you try to apply for a visa 5 years or 6 years down the road, they're gonna see that the deportation, right?
I imagine so, yeah, but in my passport there's no like black stamp or anything. It was just a normal red exit stamp, so that was quite interesting. I thought I would have had some sort of mark in my passport, but I don't.
Huh. And so when you get back to your home country, I mean, you're free, like obviously nobody's going with you. Was it just you on the plane, or well, I guess since you bought the ticket, yeah, it was just you, right? So no consequences in where you're at, right? You just get off the plane and go home.
Yeah, and apparently I can travel everywhere else without any consequences as well, so it seems okay.
Yeah.
I just can't go back to China for 5 years, so after living there for 9 years, it's a bit of a pain because I was getting fluent in Chinese. I would be starting to feel fluent and getting there.
Right.
Well, and now I'm in England. Like, any Chinese people around?
I mean, yeah, that's rough, man. What about your You said you're staying with your mom right now, right?
Currently staying at my mum's, yeah, but I've got quite a few parents around here, so I'll move around different places sometimes.
How does your mom feel about what happened? I'm just curious. My mom would freak out. Oh my God, if that happened.
was very worried when I told him because I sent messages to my mum and dad on WeChat as I just got arrested and said, "Hey guys, the police have gone. I don't know how long I'm going to be engaged for," basically. And so from that point, they were worried, and there's like full scale investigation going on. And my friend had tried and contact my Facebook friend to see, is something going on in Suzhou? Why has Tom been arrested? Where is he? Why is he not replying?
Yeah.
All this kind of stuff. And so they were very worried. Now I'm back here, they're just happy that I'm back, and it's almost as if it never happened. Like, they're just moving on, and they're happy to have me back. Like, are you getting a job or what? Like, there's a lot of that kind of pressure.
Well,
But,
and it's not a big deal. I mean, like, the biggest thing is getting arrested. The rest is kind of inconsequential. I mean, doing something illegal in another country, I guess people could look at that and say, that probably wasn't very smart. People could look at it and say that, but the actual act itself is not a big deal. I mean, I don't know what the views are like in the UK. I'm from the States, and there's a very big, the weed culture is big in the States. It's legal in a lot of places now. So it's not that big of an issue for most people. Like, my mom would be disappointed about something like that, but most people would just be like, the worst thing about it is the fact that you went to jail in China. That's how people would look at it.
yeah, I guess so, yeah. My dad was kind of more disappointed because he's not really in that world of like understanding about drugs and stuff.
Yeah.
So but he didn't really say too much about it. Respect. He was understanding.
Yeah. I mean, it is what it is, and you got out of it, because, man, you see those like exploitation TV shows about people that go to, seriously, man, those are
Thailand.
Those are scary. And they go to prison for nothing. For having a tattoo of the Buddha or whatever.
Real prison.
Yeah, real prison, and they get beat up and like raped. So you got a good story out of it, right?
Yeah.
I mean, look at it in a positive way, I guess. Are you planning on trying to go back?
I don't know yet. It depends on the next few years and where it leads, so we'll see what happens.
Okay, yeah. So that's the last thing that I wanted to talk about then is what your plans are now. I know that's a difficult question because you've only been back for a month. Good. But what are your plans for the future? I guess your parents are asking you that as well, right?
Yeah, they're like, I don't want you to be an Uber driver, Tom. I don't want you to be a driver. All the taxi drivers will start beating you up. I'm like, look, I'm going to be an Uber driver for a bit. I'm going to get a car. I'm going to network, drive people around, get to know the community and the market again. And basically, my plan is to get to know, because I met a lot of biological family recently. I want to get to know them properly and spend time with family around here too. And the main plan is to get and produce some music. I'm currently getting collaborations together so we can write some cool original music. So I'm looking forward to that.
Okay, yeah, that's good. Good to have a plan, When I came back from Nepal, I had nothing. I was just I was done. I was dead. I had it was like a recuperation period, but it would have been it's good to keep busy,
Definitely, yeah.
Keep busy. Okay, so if you have any, I don't know if cause I know you have music and you sent me a bunch of links a while back before all of this, right when we first started talking, you sent me some links to your social media accounts and things like that. I can link up anything you want me to link up to people watching this. I'll put in the description section of the video. So if anybody wants to check out your music or find out more information about you, they can do that. You can.
That'll be great. Thanks, man.
Yeah, you can just let me know what you want me to link people to, or what you don't want me to link people to, or whatever. And that was good. I appreciate you coming on and talking to me. This is fun, right? It was good, right?
It was decent. Yeah.
Yeah, you have an interesting story. I think people who travel have more interesting stories than people who don't.
Traveling is interesting. No matter what. Yeah.
I just mean the average person. The average American, at least, just if you just pick someone from the phone book and you just called them up and said, hey, you want to come on and talk, I have a show, you can come on and talk on my show. What would they talk about? They talk about, the work they do, the job they have. They go to work every day. They got their family.
You never know.
Well,
Could be a good idea. That
see,
calling random people.
that's the difference between you and me. See, that's my cynicism coming out. I'm so cynical. See, that's the thing, man. You know, you gotta keep positive. I'm trying to just keep positive. All right, man. Try to be. It's a daily struggle, you know, but
Yeah.
it's. I think it comes naturally for some people, and some people have to work for it. And I'm just one of those people that has to work for it. I'm trying.
And traveling definitely helps open the mind and it made me more spiritual. So that definitely helped.
Yeah. I encourage everyone I meet to travel, even though there's ups and downs, and sometimes it's really horrible. But long-term travel is definitely a mind expanding experience, and you'll definitely never be the same. You'll never.
Yes, I totally agree.
Yeah. All right, man. It was good talking to you. I really appreciate your time.
Appreciate you.
Yeah. I have a good day. I'm gonna go to sleep. It's
like
have a good sleep. I gotta go wake the baby up so I can put her to bed. Wake her up. She'll be super pissed off. Give her a bath. Let her eat some food, and then put her back to bed. And then she'll be super pissed off that she has to go back to bed.
Well, whilst you do that, I'll have a cup of tea.
All right. Yeah. It's good talking to you. For everybody else, thank you for watching Triad Travelogues. This is Tom Batchelor. Check out his links in the description section below. We'll see you next time.